All right, it's time. What is up, guys? This is Quarter Recall, our live show where we take a look back at what's going on in pop culture 25 years ago, so 1997. Movies, music, video games, pretty much anything. Before we go back in time, though, Leo. Oh, this is my co host, Leo, by the way. I haven't introduced him
Hello.
yet. Hi.
No, it's okay.
I should really add to my show note, introduce Leo, because every time I get this part, and I did not introduce you yet.
No, it's fine. I think people will probably figure it out.
Yeah, everybody knows Leo.
Yeah.
So before we go back in time, Leo, is there anything you got into this week?
Yeah, a couple things I'll tell you about. One, pretty exciting. Right before this started, about an hour and a half ago, before I started talking to you, I beat Hades for the first time.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. So there's something called God mode in that game, which is kind of neat. It's when you die, it'll give you a little bit more resistance overall each time. So that kind of allows you to get a little bit further. And that's kind of a nice little thing. So I beat it that way using God mode. So I had about like 40% defense a few days ago or like last week. But I wanted to do a clean run without that. So I can really say I beat it. And yeah, it's been really fun just running through it, figuring out the weapons I like. And then, yeah, right before this, I finally beat him with the sword. And so I think I'm done with that game for now. There's some interesting end game stuff, but I feel like I've conquered it and I feel like I can move on. So yeah, that felt pretty good. It's a fun game.
Yeah, it is a great game. I didn't play it on easy mode though, like some people. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, I did. And then I played it on normal mode after that.
Okay. You gotta defend yourself. Don't get so defensive.
No, it's fine. Yeah. It was funny though. I had that thought, and we've talked about this at length, like difficulty and how I internalize that a lot myself. And I was thinking, I'm like, man, why do I feel so strongly like it didn't count this way? It's so silly. But anyway, I did beat it.
Because it didn't count. That's why.
Right. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Thank you for explaining.
You're welcome.
But what really took up a lot of my time and what I got really sucked into was this game Skyrim. You ever heard about this?
Oh yeah, it's poor man's Elden Ring.
Right. Well, it was interesting. It's kind of your fault because we were talking about VR and some like exercise stuff in that table tennis game. So I bought those and was messing around with them a little bit.
Table tennis and then I was like, good, right?
Yeah, it's fun. It's really straightforward, but it really feels like you're playing ping pong in a way that's pretty remarkable. And it sounds so simple, right? But like that's not as simple as it. I'd imagine it's not as simple to execute that as you might think.
There's something magical about how good it feels. Okay, back to Skyrim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, totally. No, not at all. And I was like, hey, if Skyrim VR, that might be interesting, but like, I'm not going to play without mods. So I found this thing called Wabbajack. Have you heard about that?
Wabbajack? No.
Wabbajack. It's essentially this like freeware that you can download, and it offers curated mod lists for you, and it'll self-install all of them. So it's like curated, so all the compatibility is taken off the table, all those questions, and you basically, it still requires a fair amount of tinkering on the front end before it'll start working properly, but it essentially downloads all the mods for you, installs them all for you, and does it all in a way that's really remarkable. So I found the ultimate Skyrim like VR mod list. Again, Wabbajack, if you were interested in checking it out. And it took me a little while to figure it out. I had to do some stuff on the front end to get it to work, but once it started working, it is absolutely incredible. Like, it really is insane. Walking around Skyrim, everything looks way better than vanilla Skyrim. There's a lot of huge changes to the actual VR experience to make it way, way better than the vanilla. And honestly, man, I haven't had this much fun playing a video game just as like with a smile on my face in a long time. Just wandering around, like exploring dungeons. I remember being pretty annoying in Skyrim just because it's like, here we go. But when you actually feel like you're in the dungeon, it's really incredible. I have to say, like I can't say enough how much fun I'm having just wandering around, enjoying it. It's really great. It's a really awesome way to experience the game.
Yeah, like with VR, like roofs are so fun to look at, like with
Yeah,
VR, right? Like you
totally.
look up, and you're like, I've never looked up. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen what's above me, and uh,
Absolutely.
and it's just incredible to be like enclosed in this like bespoke space,
Yeah.
right?
And you see, to your point, you see a lot of art direction and like care that you wouldn't see otherwise, especially in a big open world game like that. So yeah, like for example, I remember walking into the first Jarl's house in Whiterun, and I had the exact same experience you just had. I looked up and was like, holy shit, there's like light coming through the windows. There's all kinds of interesting architecture up there. But when you're playing on or at least how I played it, you're just running everywhere and trying to move quickly. You're not really taking the time to explore the space. But in VR, it feels very natural to like actually look around and be like, holy shit, I'm actually in this like beautiful fantasy world. It's really cool.
Yeah,
So I've been having a blast with that in a way that I haven't enjoyed a game in a long time. So that's been fun.
yeah. Especially Skyrim has such a bad FOV. Like when you play it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're so tunneled when you're actually playing that game that you really
Yeah.
miss so much of like what's around you, right? It's kind of a
Yeah.
shame.
I agree. It is kind of a shame. And like I said, like I remember this because I played a lot of vanilla Skyrim and loved it too. But like running through dungeons was like, all right, here we go again. Da-da, get through, get the treasure, get the hell out. But now it's like I'm sneaking around like quietly, and really you feel like you're there. The 3D audio is really cool. So anyway, if you ever want to revisit Skyrim, this is an amazing way to do that. And Wabajack has a lot of mod lists for all kinds of stuff. I think it's mostly Skyrim and like Bethesda, just because they have such a wide modding community. But highly recommend checking out if you're at all interested in modding. It can take away a lot of the guesswork.
Yeah, I'll maybe I'll give it a look. I don't know. Skyrim, like I enjoyed it in its time, but I do feel like going back to Skyrim, it's like wow, like I can't believe
That's what I'm
I
saying.
can't
If you
believe
do
it's
it
still
this way,
broken. Like,
this way it makes it. I mean, it's still broken and buggy. Don't get me wrong. But if when you're in VR walking around, you don't give a shit at all. It's just such a different experience. So anyway, again, if you do feel like revisiting Skyrim at any time, I highly recommend this as a way to do it. It feels much more interesting.
yeah, it
But
sounds like fun.
yeah,
I have a lot of
it is.
I have a lot of concerns about Bethesda and
Yeah,
whatever whatever they're making.
Starfield. Yeah, no,
Starfield.
totally. And there's a lot of discourse around them, and rightfully so. But it is interesting going back to and be like, oh yeah, the reason this game sold 50 kajillion copies is because it's extremely awesome.
Yeah, it's
Like,
cool.
there's a lot of problems with it, but like, there's a reason it was so popular, and it's kind of fun just going back and be like, yeah, that's right, Skyrim is really cool. So anyway, enough about what I got into. What did you do? I have a sense I know, but
Yeah, so I did a couple things this week. Of course I played a lot of Elden Ring. Like
yeah,
that game is still like I don't know.
enjoying it.
It's a real goat game, man. Like I don't know. It's hard to put into words like what they did. Did you see this like discourse around it where there's all these developers from like other studios that are mad at Elden Ring?
No,
So like a bunch of like the Horizon developers and some other people. I think like Blue Point and stuff. Like we're
yeah,
talking shit about Elden Ring getting um a high Metacritic score, like higher than theirs. And they're just like, talking about the graphics and all the shit's broken and like real fucking sour grapes. I thought it was so funny.
that
Um
is funny.
yeah, because Elden Ring's doing something really like special, right? Like in a way that I love Horizon games, um,
Yeah,
but they don't have like this kind of magic to them, right? Like they just don't. Like the open world just doesn't feel as alive as this. I think in Skyrim actually, we bring it up like they did a really good job, especially considering the technology of the time of making like. I think if Skyrim did one thing right, it's like the side stuff feels good
yeah,
where I think
definitely.
I think they really failed on the main stuff, right? I think the
Oh
main
yeah,
quest is just garbage, right? Like
I think that is totally fair.
the stuff you're supposed to do is terrible, right? But the
Yeah, both
stuff,
the Dark Brotherhood quest line,
yeah,
absolutely incredible.
or like
Like
the
so
magic
good.
school one and stuff like that
Yeah,
shit was fun, dude. Um,
yeah,
but the main stuff's so bad, and Elden Ring does such a good job of just having these like incredible experiences that are on the periphery that you don't even have to touch, that people will in mass just miss, right? Like just crazy boss fights, amazing, beautiful environments, like in just entire huge swaths of maps that had to take, months or a year to build and fill out. And they're just like, yeah, you see it if you
yeah,
see it, like,
yeah,
if you're real into it, you'll find it, and,
yeah. Just like incredibly densely packed.
yeah. And it's amazing. It's just, that faith in the player. I think Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild did some of this, but it just wasn't dense enough to really kind of achieve it on this level. Like I love Breath of the Wild; it's one of my favorite
yeah.
games of all time, and I think
Same.
this does so much more to achieve that, like that sense of like discovery and like um, and wonder, right? And also, I think in Souls fashion, like it really just lets you break the shit out of the game, right?
Yeah, which we've talked about how much we both like that when they have faith in the player to be like, yeah, you want to break it, go ahead.
It's funny. I keep seeing these YouTube videos are like, oh, the secret rune farm, like, oh, is it going to get nerfed? And then, you
Yeah,
see people do it for a few days, and then a new one pops up that's like 10 times more powerful. And like, is this one going to get nerfed? And it's like,
like
none of
no,
these.
dude.
This is the game. Like, this is what it is. None of these are getting nerfed. Like,
Yeah, they very carefully put this in on purpose.
yeah, like you think they didn't realize that these enemies just sitting here are worth tons of experience and right next to a save point? Like they know that. Like if you want
Yeah,
to be overpowered, like feel free. Um,
that's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
trust the player, right?
there's just so much faith in a player to like to find things, to tinker around, and to tackle really difficult challenges, right? And
Yeah,
I think all that just pays off so much. And I think the conversation around difficulty, like it always puts a smile on my face.
yeah, it is funny. Well, and to your point about it doing a lot of stuff that Breath of the Wild, feeling like the next step in that evolution, that makes sense, right? Breath of the Wild's 5 years old, so it
Yeah,
makes sense that at some point something's going to come along to be like, hey, here's what Breath of the Wild did, but a little more sophisticated in some ways. And I'm sure Breath of the Wild does some stuff better, of course, like all games have their strengths. But yeah, I'm really excited to check it out when I get back.
yeah, it's wild how different Breath of the Wild really was, right? Like on its
Yeah, yeah,
surface, you don't. I think like it's really easy to say like Breath of the Wild is just another third person game. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's open world third person game, and be
yeah.
like, yeah, it's just another one. Like who cares? And then you get into it and you kind of realize what's happening, and you're just like, no, this is like
Pretty
incredibly
wild.
unique and different and
Yeah,
wild, right? Like they really like had an idea that didn't exist in this universe and like made
yeah,
it
and
a
pulled it off
reality, right?
beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Elden Ring is like, oh, we should do that for Dark Souls,
yeah,
and then they
yeah,
did, and it's incredible. Like it's incredible. Um,
yeah. Just like just solid execution. That's always nice to see.
yeah, and I love that it's hard, man. Like I don't
Yeah,
know, it's the core of the game. You know what I mean? Like all games have different like experience, like what they want you to feel when you play their game.
hmm,
And Elden Ring's just like, we want you to get mad and then beat a boss and then just like tell him to like fucking die. Like, fuck you, fucking die. I fucking win. And like, that's what you
yeah.
feel like when you beat a boss in Elden Ring. You're just like, you motherfucker, fucking,
That's
burn
what you
in
get.
hell. Burn in
Yeah,
hell. That's what you get. And you do. And it feels so good. Like, it just feels incredible. It's great.
yeah,
Great game.
yeah.
Love it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I look forward to being able to talk more about it too once I finally get a chance to try it.
Yeah. The other thing this week, have you ever heard of Video Game High School?
No.
I'm not surprised. So Video Game High School was a YouTube show that was out in, let me look up what year it was, 2012. So,
Okay.
you know, obviously I was an adult when it came out. And it's kind of
Yeah.
dumb. It's, you know who Freddie Wong is?
No.
So he has this company called, I think it's Rocket Jump, is what it is. I'll double check too, because I don't want to be, yeah, Rocket Jump. And so they do like VFX stuff, right? Like, they made like this Counter-Strike, like a real life aimbot video that was really popular on YouTube a while ago, where the guy's walking around and just starts like shooting everybody all different directions and stuff. He does a
Hmm.
lot of these VFX things, but he made this show. They made this show called Video Game High School, and it's really cheesy, uh, and it's really fun in that way, where it's about a kid who like, uh, it's a world where like video games are the biggest thing in the world, right? And especially first person shooters, like the Super Bowl, and like they're on the news and everything.
Yeah.
And this kid at home, is like AFK one time, getting a hot pocket and something, and like the best first person shooter player in the world, like starts like BMing him, right? Like walks up to his AFK body and is like, messing with him and is gonna kill him on TV or whatever. And he comes
Yeah.
back just in time, pulls off a sick move and kills this dude, and then becomes like this big star and gets like recruited by this video game high school that like has the professional teams. And it's a story about that, and it's really dumb. There's a character named Games Dean, and he's like a greaser, like
Oh my
game. Like,
God.
it's terrible in that sense, but it's hilarious. It's so funny. It knows exactly what it is. Everybody
Nice.
is stupid, and and there's a streamer named Jay Schlatt, and he watched all the episodes on Twitch, and
Hmm.
he had like characters come on and do interviews, like watch-alongs with it and stuff. And it's so good. I was so excited to watch it again. I watched the whole thing this week, like while I was
Oh
working,
wow,
and
that's
it's like
cool.
3 seasons or something. And I would just suggest, if you ever just want to put something dumb and kind of fun on, like watch Video Game High School. It's stupid. It's great. The characters are great. Everyone does such a good job. Um, and
Hmm.
it just knows so exactly what it is. And I think that's like the best way to approach, especially making like B-rate media, you know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah.
non-corporate like productions, is just to be like, we know what we are, we know what this looks like, we understand that, and that's kind of, we're gonna play in that realm, and like that's where we're gonna do this. And it's great. It's super fun, super fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds very interesting. I've never heard of it, but I'm kind of surprised.
And the intro song rocks. So you can enjoy that too.
It's a YouTube show.
It was a YouTube show, yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it still is, but I'm gonna actually, here. I'll link you to it. I'll put it in the show notes too, actually, if people want to watch it. Um, oh
Put a
yeah,
link to Waba Jack as well.
Waba Jack. Okay,
Yeah.
let me look it up. But I'll forget, so I'm gonna put it in our little chat right now, and then I'll add them when this goes up. Waba Jack,
Video Game High School.
wabajack.org. Okay. All right. Now we got that added. Let's. Did I do anything else this week? No, that's it. So I bought some games actually. There's a humble bundle right now. Actually, I should probably
Hey, I can't
suggest.
hear you.
You can't hear me? Did I die? Did my mic die?
No, no, no. There you are. I'm sorry. It was on my end.
That's okay. Discord is Discord. Um, there's a humble bundle that's so good right now. And I don't know if it's
Really?
still live. Let me check it right now. Humble bundle. Uh,
Give IGN some money, man. They need
Yeah,
it.
they probably do need it. So for $20, $20 you get Scarlet Nexus, Bloodstain, a game
Oh, yeah.
called Severed Steel. That's very popular, I guess. It's got very good reviews. Gears 5, Celeste, Cloudpunk, and Tacoma.
Yeah, man, that is a good deal. I have all of those games that I want, but except for the first one you said.
Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, I would like to play that, but I don't know if I care enough to. But yeah, that is. If you don't own those games, that's a great deal.
I own some of them. Like I own Bloodstain and Celeste on Switch,
Yeah,
and
Bloodstain's awesome.
I was like, yeah, I'll get them on PC too. Like Scarlet Nexus is $60 on Steam, right? Like
Yeah,
it's a pretty new game. It came out last year, so if you have any interest in that and you want just some free keys, or you want to get Celeste for a friend or whatever, like yeah, I bought it up right away. So I played a little bit of Celeste and stuff too, but that's neither here nor there. Nothing like I've put into Elden Ring, but with
yeah,
that,
that's cool. It's always nice to see good deals.
yeah. But with that being said, it's time to
I'm
go
gonna take
back in time.
a blast to the past,
Uh,
quarter century ago.
so we don't have that many trailers. It's the first week of the month. I think we've learned doing this for a few weeks that everything happens at the end of the month.
Yeah.
But I do have a few movies, and I figured I'd read off some news. The news ticker for March 1997.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Clinton welcomes Yasser Arafat to
Oh,
for a trip.
Yasser Arafat.
The
Wow.
Swiss planned fund to aid Holocaust victims. That's very nice, Swiss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeltsin pledges to speed up reforms. Hey, Russia's gonna get fixed. Thank God.
Finally.
Thank
And
God.
then everything was great.
And then then Russia was good.
Everything worked out.
This is all exact. Like this could be today. U.S. vetoes UN censure of Israel. Yeah, yeah. UN,
Oh,
don't you
God.
dare, don't you
Wow.
dare. Yeah, so
Can't believe they
timely.
did that.
Yeah, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. That's that's the news for today.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It just shows like, oh, okay, so nothing's changed at all. We just have better phones.
Yeah, we have better phones and better games.
Yeah, true. Better
Like,
computers.
better
Technology's
computers.
done better, I guess. But other than that, everything's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if anything else is really. No, just tech, really. I'm like,
Yeah.
is food,
And art. I
is
think
food
art's
better?
gotten better. I'm sure it's worse in some ways.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
as far
worse.
as
That's
like
not
quality.
yeah, I'm sure it's worse. You think art's gotten better? Like what kind of art?
I think so. There's just more of it. There's more options. There's more voices. There's more like niches. So I think I guess better is kind of a subjective term, but I think there's more different kinds of art, which is
I agree
positive.
with that. You mentioned that, and I'm always amazed like how good like illustrators are you find on like randomly on Twitter, and it's like,
Yeah.
how could like a 16-year-old kid that begged for an iPad for Christmas and now is just like nuts, like just an insane artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just like, how does like what this world is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It's wild.
Humans are capable of cool stuff in a
Yeah,
lot of ways.
it's wild, especially like when you can like funnel that like youthful energy into something that's so like impressive, right? It's
Yeah.
incredible. All right, let's get into the movie trailers. So
Woo!
there's one I couldn't find. I mean, it's funny because I could find the whole movie on YouTube, but
Must not be very good if they're like, no, there's no trailers.
Yeah,
Just buy it and find out.
I found a 4-minute snippet of the film on YouTube, but not a trailer. And there's a movie called Good Luck.
Yeah, well, that's about the most generic title you could possibly come up with.
Leo, what do you think Good Luck's about?
Oh God, yeah, that's hard. I mean, unless it has something to do with Ireland, just because the '90s was so obsessed with like really like cultures are different. Other than that, I really don't know.
Yeah, you're way off.
Yeah, it could be anything.
You're way off. Good Luck is a 1996 American film directed by Richard LeBrie. It came out in 97, but the film festival release was in 96.
Gotcha.
Starring Gregory Hines and Vincent D'Onofrio as two physically disabled men who came together to challenge themselves out of their unsatisfactory lives. Hines plays a former dental student, Ben Lemley, who had to quit school just before finals because of a car accident that left him in a wheelchair.
Ouch.
I don't know why you got to quit school. Like, school's not wheelchair accessible?
Well, it was the 90s,
Yeah.
you know? If you're in a wheelchair, you might as well fuck.
You're fucking a dead
You're
man.
done.
D'Onofrio plays a former pro football player, Oli Olesniak, who was blinded in a freak accident on the field before their accidents. Byrne had been a tutor for Ole, and after quitting his post-accident job as a denture technician, he approaches Ole about teaming up to enter a whitewater rafting race on Oregon's Rogue River. One of those dudes is fallen in the water, if not both. I mean, that's got to be the climax, right? It's like
they got to save each other.
Yeah, they got to save each other, right? Like the football player swims while Hines looks or something like that. But
yeah.
That's Good Luck.
Where am I swimming?
Yeah.
To the right. Yeah. Oh, there's a rock there.
Yeah. Not that right. Yeah.
Yeah. My right, not yours.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very good, but, whatever.
I think
that sounds very 90s. It sounds fine.
It sounds very 90s. I think that is the best way to say it. Hold on. Let me queue up our movies here.
Oh boy. Getting just a little taste and I'm already upset.
All right.
Why do you put this junk in your hair, huh? I see Carl doesn't find it necessary to deface himself.
Carl, show Mom your nipples.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, this actually looks
after Thanksgiving.
okay.
After my sister's husband, Lewis,
It's called the
left for work,
Daytrippers.
she found a note.
The
It looked like a
Daytrippers.
love letter written to Lewis. So she brought it over to my mom and dad's house.
Couldn't this be a note from a barracuda who was
I love
having
Parker
an affair with
Posey.
a married man? So
Yeah,
what
she's
should
great.
I do? I suggest that we drive you into the city.
Like she's my
and you
favorite
talk
kind
to
of
him
like
face to
terrible
face.
girl.
So mom,
You know what I
dad,
mean?
my
Like-
sister, my boyfriend and I all
Yeah, no, I agree.
cried
She's
in the car.
she's awesome.
Carl, tell mom and dad about your novel.
The main character is this freak of nature man who doesn't have a normal head. He was born with a dog's head.
Joe loves dogs.
So when
I like
got
Louis
to
Driver,
New York,
too. I
we
kinda wanna
drove
watch this
to
movie.
Lewis's office.
Yeah, this looks
You
good.
are so
Other than that horrible music.
He's so sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I,
love
gave
the
Lewis the
music.
rest of the day off.
Really? I just hate saxophones.
Whoa,
You
wait.
do.
Wait.
Then it got a little.
Wait, you hate saxophones?
Well, I don't like hate them as a. I just hate the way they sound. It's
Like
not
Kenny
okay.
G stuff?
No, I mean I've never heard ever in my life a saxophone that I didn't think sounded horrible.
It's fucked up.
It's just it's some people just don't like the way things sound, you know.
It's fucked up. To all the sax players out there, all the band nerds.
No, no,
I,
I,
still got-
I
still
think
got
it's an
love for it.
amazingly cool thing. I just hate the way it sounds.
That's you can't say those two statements.
You can. It's not for me, is what
It's,
I'm
it's
saying.
a family affair? Why is everybody here?
Don't you think it's weird when people you don't know start talking about their sexual exploits?
Is he looking at me? No way! Is he looking at me? No way!
Do you have any clue?
You know, I think this trailer is too long.
I don't know anything.
yeah,
Because
I've lost.
Not
I
like
don't
I'm
wanna
not
watch-
enjoying watching it. It's more just like the more I watch it, the less I understand what it is.
I want to watch it less. I'll be honest.
Yeah, yeah, same.
60 seconds in, I was ready to like.
Yeah.
Cue it up.
And now it's just like, what is this movie even about?
Now I don't really care.
Yeah.
Tucci, it's got the Tucci.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. We're keeping the family.
Oh, look at that stinger at the end. So good.
Yeah, I forgot those.
Yeah.
Stingers. Just glad that sax is gone.
Yeah, now we get like scat rap, like so much better.
Tim Allen,
Oh, no!
It's Gilligan's Island.
You ready for some
Oh,
racism?
wow. Holy shit.
Poco Ono. Father.
You put the seat back down. Females and tribes start war over this. Many deaths.
On March 7th, discover who really wears the loincloth in this family.
That was pretty good. I like that.
Disney's Jungle to Jungle, rated PG.
Oh, this is like the short trailer. I actually watched a much longer trailer in prep for this.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was worse, right? Because he goes to the tribe and tells them he wants to be known as man with large endowment or something like that. Like some real winner jokes like that. But yeah, that's his son, and he has to bring him back to New York to accomplish his
Gotcha.
goal. Yeah, his white,
Hence the name.
his white Aboriginal son or whatever. I don't know.
Oh my god, it's amazing that that's Disney too. Like, it's just so bad.
Yeah, it's I mean, we're learning a lot about the mindset of the like I guess
Yeah.
having to reflect on a certain like part of the 90s that
No, totally, man. And honestly, like when we first started talking about doing this, that's part of why is to look at this kind of stuff with this new lens, the good and the bad. But I think I was misinformed, or not misinformed, but my memories had misinformed me about just how bad it was. Like the fact that this was totally fine and it wasn't that long ago is very interesting.
yeah, in my memory it was like it wasn't bad, it was just kind of
Yeah.
fun, right? Like everyone was just having fun, but it wasn't the most
Right.
sensitive way. And it's like, no, this is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's like and not funny at all.
And not funny at all.
Because at least
Yeah.
if it was funny and fucked up, that'd be one thing. But the problem is that it's neither.
Or self-aware, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it knew it was like being shitty, right? But
Yeah.
it's none of those things. It's just fucked up.
It's just a lot of like, look, that other people are different than us. Isn't that fucking funny? It's like,
Yeah.
nah, not really.
Yeah, it makes
It's not
you
that funny.
it makes you wonder when they like when people wrote these things if they were like conscious of like you will just point out what's different.
Yeah.
And they're like,
That'll
and
do it. That's
the
humorous.
joke. Yeah, like that's the joke. And they're just like, so let's just get a list of things that are different, and then we'll just make a like every
We'll have
few
Tim
minutes.
Allen in it.
Yeah, every few minutes we'll have a hit about that. Like oh, they do blow darts. Yeah, well, blow dart joke. Okay, that's a loincloths.
Yeah, he's never seen a toilet before.
Yeah.
Women hate men. That's funny. Let's throw that in there.
Not afraid of. There's a spider gag. Like, oh, they're not afraid of spiders. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, weird.
Yeah. What if people had different perspective? That'd be so funny.
Yeah. Like we can lean on the funny language thing quite a few times. So let's
that'll be a real highlight for all of us.
Yeah,
all of us screenwriters in the 90s.
If we get stuck, just go there. All right, here's the last one, and this was actually quite a big movie for the time. I don't know. I don't know how into this you were.
Once upon a time, in a land far,
this is the one that's going to get us
there lived a dreamer whose
only
wish was to spread joy among
oh darn!
fellow
We'll lose all our money.
There was one problem. He was different.
You like that, huh? Oh, yes, I love it, baby.
Whoa.
You want to be a disc jockey? Very much so. But are you an idiot? Oh, well, you stink.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You're a somewhat abnormal person with a somewhat abnormal job.
He was offensive?
The underpants are coming off. That is the first naked lady in the history of radio. This is disgraceful. We should be taken off the air.
He was obnoxious?
I'm going to have sex with you right now over the radio. And I want you to straddle the speaker.
He was disgusting.
Did you like Howard Stern? Did you ever listen to him?
You were going to control this guy.
You want me to go on?
I listened to him much later. So no, not at all at the time. I didn't know anything about him. But later, probably like 5 years ago, a friend of mine was really into him. So I started watching his interviews. So I got a sense of who he was. Like, he's a great interviewer and all that. But I was certainly not a fan of his at the time. I just didn't know anything about him.
Yeah, late Howard Stern was very different. I feel like.
Yeah.
Because he is a charming person, right? I feel like that's kind of why this stuff he got away with so much, or like grew an audience.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be inflammatory. I think it just it made him much bigger. But
yeah, absolutely.
His show was wild though. It was fun to listen to.
Yeah,
we used to listen to it quite a bit.
Yeah, I went through a phase where I was just going back and just watching all his interviews, But like I said, I kind of missed the peak of it, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, and, for a time they had it on television, right? I don't know if you remember that, but they would play it on like entertainment on E or something. They'd air the shows, and that was always interesting.
Hey, can you go back to the credits real quick? Sorry, if it's not too much to ask. Yeah. Can you go to the next one? Sorry, where it was showing the music. Oh, interesting. I was just curious about the music. I saw Rob Zombie, Howard Stern and the Dust Brothers.
Yeah, Howard Stern and the Dust Brothers, bro. My favorite band.
Rob Zombie with Howard Stern. That's funny.
Yeah,
nice.
A real who's who of music
in
the era. Yeah, I liked
cool.
I was into Howard Stern. I don't know if I would be now. I mean, I always liked bad radio. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was kind of fun for me, like unlikable people on the radio. Did you ever listen to like Tom Likas or anything like that?
No, I never was really in any of that.
Tom Likas was way worse than Howard Stern, but it was entertaining to listen to, right? Like, just something about being stuck in your car in an era before choice, where it was like, this is way better than listening to the same classic rock station. It's kind of what you were stuck with. Even like indie stations back then were so, they didn't really exist for a long time. So,
well, I was just listening to NPR, so I wouldn't know about all that.
NPR is just so boring sometimes. Like, they have good shows.
Yeah, I would listen to it with my mom. I listen to it more now. But yeah, podcasts certainly have changed everything, because like everything else now, you have more choice than you could possibly know what to do with.
Yeah, even now, like, NPR doesn't like produce for entertainment. Like, they're better now than they were, but a lot of it's just dreadful to listen to, right? You're just like, I get it. Come on, it's a little snappier, and they replay shows all the time, which is not that fun. But
I love a good interviewer. Even Joe Rogan. Sometimes I'll just listen to his interviews, and because it really isn't about the person at all. It's much more about the questions they ask, and letting the other person talk. Really, is the sign of a good interviewer. So their personality almost isn't that relevant, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
if you can develop a rapport, I think that's the whole thing, right? If you can create, like, not even like trust, but just like an openness to just like that, you're not going to jump on them, right? You're going to allow them to speak and not kind of judge what they say. And
you're having a conversation, not a
I think Rogan actually does a good job of that. I don't listen to very much Rogan. I used to listen to more because I thought he had better guests on before. but I'm not opposed to it. If there's a guest I think is interesting and I show up on Spotify, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, that was kind of what I did with him and Stern and others. Is be like, I'll go through their backlog and Google like, hey, interview list, and then find people I really like. So maybe I'm a little predisposed to being more interested in the interview if it's someone I already like or I'm already interested in. But if they were asking horrible questions, I wouldn't enjoy it. So yeah, good interviewer is important.
Yeah, we just live in this world of like sound bites, so it's so hard. Like it's so refreshing to have someone have a little bit longer form to like say what they feel and get like a vibe for who that person actually is, right? As opposed to 3 minutes on the Tonight Show where they answered for
The same questions
right?
they've asked. Yeah, they've answered a million times. Yeah, and also like just letting people talk and not feeling like you need to interject your perspective is kind of rare for that same reason you just mentioned. And I think guys like that, as they get older and have infinite money, they're much more interested in just learning instead of trying to be a star, trying to one up people or trying to get them. It's more like, hey, you seem interested. Let's chat.
Yeah, and let people be flawed, right? I think we have a real issue currently in society, right, where it's like no one can have warts. You know what I mean? Like the minute you have a flaw, you're like worthless.
Yeah.
And that's just so like unrealistic. Everyone's flawed. Like everybody fucks up, and I think the more we're open about that, and like I don't believe in like cancer culture, but I also believe in exposing one weakness. Sometimes it like everyone will latch on to that as like your entire personality, in this kind of social media age. And I think that's a real, it's a real sad state, because we all have flaws and we should all be willing to like embrace those things and be who we are and not be afraid. And,
and be willing to change.
Yeah. I think,
and encourage people to change instead of just shutting them down immediately.
And I think Stern did a lot to like open that up for people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, people talk about
and
sex addiction and prostitutes and drugs and like just these bad things they did and be like, okay, like it's not the end of the world.
I also recall him, and this is something I find as I get older I really appreciate, is being able to be vulnerable and being able to talk about your own weaknesses and being very realistic. That's something I like a lot as I get older, is people being like, yeah, I'm human. Here's how I'm flawed and how I'm trying to change, and that just makes it much more, I don't know, it just feels more real, like they're not putting on a show in the same way, even if they are.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we're just so crazy. Maybe we've always been crazy like this, but, as you get older, I guess you kind of see it, right? Like it becomes easy to identify that, like, oh, these people are not being real. Like, of course they're flawed. Of course they're not. This isn't their life. You know what I mean? So, so it is nice to see behind the curtain, or like just kind of understand who they are, like who this person is,
yeah, or at least feel like it. Like you never know how much of even that's performative too, of course, but it's something I'm attracted to as far as performers.
It's a better performance, like that's for sure.
Exactly.
All right, that's all the trailers we got for today. Is there anything else you wanted to get into, Leo, before we get out of here?
No, man, this was fun though. Appreciate it as always.
Yeah, it was fun. I wish we had more videos to show, but we still ended up doing 40 minutes, so I guess it doesn't matter. We'll always find a way to bullshit. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. We hope you have a great weekend. And I'm going to lunch, so I'll talk to you guys later.